Hello, hello, it's Katie your aura alchemist, soul mastery teacher, healer, all the things. I am going to list just a tiny bit of my pedigree. I usually say blah, blah, blah at this point, but if you're here watching the replay, watch replay. I'm only going to list it just for some context of my experience, because for those of you that have found me at different times in different places on Facebook, and with social media becoming more and more of a place where just of content creators versus where it used to either just be close connections and family or people in business. Now content creator is its own business. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not any of those. I'm just using the digital sphere to do my work as an oracle, as an aura alchemist. So I want to talk about energy hygiene. I want to talk about healing and when it matters. So I think this will be relevant to anybody, men or women, because everybody needs energy hygiene, just like everybody needs to brush their teeth and breathe and wash their ass, right? So we're going to talk about it from that lens. So if you're here, say hello so I can know in the comments what up. And we're going to get into energy hygiene, how you know if you need it, why it matters, why you can't skip it, and what's happening today, and as to why there is a growing amount of depression, anxiety, and hysteria besides the obvious, and what you can do about it. So let's get into this. Make sure I can find the comments here. I'm going to tag people who have asked to be tagged. So give me just a minute. See if I can do this one-handed. I'm doing it. I'm doing it one-handed, y'all. Luckily, some of you guys are popping up already. Those that have asked to be forever tagged, I got you. I think I can't tell which is which with y'all. Why do we all have multiple profiles? What's wrong with us? No, I know why I have multiple profiles. Okay, one more person. No, two more people I need to tag. I'm starting to remember, guys. I'm starting to remember. And I think Nicole has asked to always be tagged. Yay! All right, come hang out. Okay, so as usual, I like to start at the beginning so we can develop a shared language. So I know that we're talking about the same thing, so we can walk you into the message. And we're also going to talk about general things as to know when you need energy hygiene and how often do you need it, because there might be different reasons and different seasons that you need it a lot more often. Okay? You are not here to think your way through life. And one of the biggest problems, so there's so many advantages of the digital field and the digital sphere, is that we are actually losing the ability to differentiate between thinking about things and acting upon things. Okay? This is a real problem in the world happening today. And it is contributing to a feeling of isolation, a feeling of loneliness, feelings of delusion. And but when I say feelings of delusion, I'm not talking about, people you might judge as low level, or, we've used the word gutter rats to talk about particular people participating in particular vibrations and treating each other particular ways. I'm talking about delusion because we're becoming so disconnected between what our reality is actually reflecting about our subconscious, right? And when we can no longer differentiate when we're thinking about things and processing things, and when we're really taking action, and when we're really moving those changes that we think we're making, or the highs that we're getting from the epiphanies and the revelations that we're reading online and that we're receiving, and we're so lost in the growing and the learning. And this is coming from somebody who I love to learn. I love to grow. I am obsessed with all things learning and growth and how the world works. I can't get enough of it. I'm a lifelong student, right? And yet, we are still all living in an age right now where we are constantly frying ourselves out. We are frying our dopamine, and we are actually wasting our life force on perpetual temporary highs and epiphanies and ahas and ideas and sharing our ideas. And it is actually causing us to utilize life force, which shows up in the physical as things like dopamine and other hormones, that our brain is actually confused as to whether we have taken action or not. And we are not even differentiating whether we are taking action. And one of the problems that I've noticed with that has to do with one element that I've noticed, which has to do with entitlement. And again, I'm not saying the word entitlement from a form of judgment. I've actually found a lot of joy and freedom as these messages and channelings have been coming to me the last 2 years of looking where I am entitled. And I've been talking about this in different layers, and I want to talk about this a little bit right now as well. Because entitlement is causing so much suffering because people are living in their head so much that they're failing in their head, and their entitlement is causing them to feel like failures before they've even gotten out and given themselves a chance to fail in the world. So because we're not differentiating between our thoughts and our epiphanies and our highs and our conversations and our ideas and our thinking through things and learning through things, and we're making decisions in our head, and before you have taken an action to enforce a decision, that is not a decision, that is a thought. There is no difference between your thought and your idea and every other molecule and atom and idea floating in the universe and your decision until your decision is backed up with an action. What does that mean? That means that you haven't actually made a decision until you have taken an action. Action is what grounds things into the embodied life. You did not come here to think your way through evolution. You came here to experience your way through evolution. Integration means that something is lived. If integration means that something is lived and something that is in you, then you will know that it's in you because it expresses through you in the way that you act, in the way that you move, and in the way that you respond. Excuse me. Hello, beautiful. If I am the creator, and if this realm is designed to honor my free will, and if I am living the paradox where there is no separation, and yet I separated myself in order that I could experience this life as the human that I am in the now, I did come here to experience being individualized as a creator so that I could experience relationship. Relationship as a co-creator, relationship face-to-face with God, and relationship in the form of creation, in the form of creating, because creating also requires and is a form of relationship. That is why in the physical, we see that represented by the physical, by seeing that creation does not happen without relationship. Y'all been telling a lot of stories that you can fuck and create babies without relationship, but fucking is relationship no matter what you call it. And so we see there's not a single thing that can come into the physical matter without relationship. Even if it means a relationship with yourself, and a relationship with yourself is really a relationship with God, and you can't create without God, so you're always co-creating even if you're not acknowledging what you're co-creating with, or you're not aware of or giving credit to the invisible forces that are supporting you along the way. Because while you all are the creator, there is nothing that you create alone. Which is really comforting to me. To know that there's nothing that I'm actually creating alone. And that alone is actually a lie. Which brings me to I'm just going to talk about a bunch of pieces and just different elements. I'm just going to flow through. Because something that I've really been sitting with and that Spirit's been moving me through around relationships, and not relationships as in man and women, relationships as whole, relating, human relating on the planet right now. And I have never witnessed more people feeling alone in my life and feeling isolated in my life and the frequency and the tone of it in the collective is so loud, and it goes way beyond romantic relationships. In fact, one of the biggest reasons that I have now discovered that Spirit has been showing me that we are lacking in romantic relationships is not only the battle of the sexes, though yes, that is happening, and that has been planted as a form of division in order to keep us disempowered and in order to prevent legacy and purpose on the planet. Absolutely. That's been happening as a hijack of powering. That is just the truth. That is a thing. But the bigger thing that is preventing that is that we're losing the ability to relate. And it actually ties into what we started with when we were talking about the fact that we are actually, as a collective, losing the ability to differentiate between living in our heads and taking action live. We are losing the ability. Notice how I said we, all of us. The only reason we won't lose that is if we stay consciously studious and decide to stay very viscerally connected in relationship with what action is. And learn to have that discernment of ourselves, of that self-awareness and discernment within ourselves to differentiate that and to hold ourselves accountable for that. And I promise that this is all related to energy hygiene. Because everything that's happening in the physical, your hormones, all of these things are just a physical reflection of the way that your energy system works. And your energy system is part of universal law. It's part of metaphysics. It operates under metaphysical law. It operates under the nature of the vibrational reality. Because the truth of your reality is vibrational. It's not just an idea. It's not something you put on top of something. It's not just something that's secondary. It's not something that works sometimes. It's not something that works here, but then it doesn't work there. It's not something that you put to the side. It's not an afterthought. It is first. It's not more important than other things. It's about order. It's about what must come first in order of creation. Order is hierarchy, by the way. Hierarchy is order, period. Hierarchy exists everywhere, whether you acknowledge it or not. Because hierarchy literally just means order. Not to be confused with your personal feelings and resentments and ideas around the class system or patriarchy or oppression and the rich and any of that kind of stuff, whatever stuff, stories that you have around there that you've really bonded to as the reason things aren't going well and aren't right, and the reason that God doesn't have enough power in your universe, and that these things have power over you. You've decided. And whatever you decide is true. And whatever you decide is what your brain will, because your brain is but a humble servant. And so the humble servant that is your brain will obey your decisions by seeking out and being alerted by and alerting you to everything that matches your decision. And it will even interpret everything according to that. That is the physical manifestation that supports beliefs creating your reality. And beliefs have to create your reality in order to honor your free will. If knowing created reality, you wouldn't have any free will. You actually can't experience this universe with the freedom to create. In order to have the freedom to create, you have to have free will. And in order to have free will, beliefs have to be what creating your reality. And this reality is so intricately designed, so divinely designed to honor your free will. You are so free that you must actually choose to listen to what you hear. Really pause and think about that. The purpose of there being a difference between hearing something is listening is actually a part of the design of free will, so that you have the free will to receive. That's how every detail in this reality is laid out for you, if you take the time to look. and understand. So we wanted to talk about the now and the problem with now in this digital universe. And I know somebody out there is like, well, you're on the digital universe. Yes, I am utilizing the digital field, which is living and alive as a communication and signal system. Absolutely. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's not all bad, right? It's not what you do. It's not what you use. It's how you do it and it's how you use it. And it's your relationship with it that's going to dictate its result and whether it benefits you or not. The amount of telepathic static that we are susceptible today is not natural. It's not bad, but it's not natural. So with this modern construct and the way that we've co-created this world today, it is more important than ever that energy hygiene is done on a regular basis. And why do you need energy hygiene? Because you are a creator and you have free will and you must actively choose what you are allowing in your space and what you will disallow, what you will disconnect from, what you will disengage from, what you will reject, what you will protect yourself from, what will you believe, what will you attend, what will you make matter with your attention and your belief and your energy, because it's your energy that makes things become matter into your universe. It is your energy and your care and your attention that turns things into matter, right? You brush your teeth, I hope. You take a shower, I hope. You eat, I hope. Hi, Mr. J. You get your sleep, you work out your muscles. You need energy hygiene. And the more you are out in the world, the more energy hygiene you need. What I have noticed tends to happen with energy hygiene. So I want to talk about some of the things that can happen with energy hygiene. If you do, because it's not what you do and how you do it. Hello. If you do energy hygiene as a way to bypass doing the work, it will not work. Here's what I noticed, 12 years ago. 12 years ago when I started out as a healer. The reason that I left healing at first, I thought I was going to be a healer and open co-op healing centers. I was like all in. I was like 10 hours a day. I had a massage table. I had 4 different altars. I was like healing all the time. Free healing, group healings. I was hosting healings online back in way before Zoom, go-to meetings, before Facebook Lives. I was like up here in the streets. I was networking. I was doing so much, just all the time. I was getting as much practice as I could on bodies, on real people. I was practicing remote healing, remote viewing, energy scanning, chakra scanning, testing on my intuition, learning my at the time, clairvoyance. I think clairsentience and clairvoyance were my first gifts. And crystal resonance therapy. I was studying crystal resonance therapy, brain heart coherence. What the cool kids now call nervous system regulation, I was learning through brain heart coherence and grounding. I started out specializing in helping empaths and helping people with boundaries. And so when I started off doing healing work, I accidentally was getting people off of disability. I was reducing their PTSD medications. They were decreasing their pain meds. People were going back to work. I was helping people cure their fibromyalgia. Their inflammation and stagnation was leaving. People with partial numbness in their bodies were suddenly feeling again. And all I was doing was like bumbling, or, I was just helping them open their heart, right? And learn how to manage their energy, find coherence with their heart and brain. But what I found with these people wasn't that we didn't continue to clear their energy when we worked together, but it was very unsatisfactory to me. This was before I knew that I was what being an aura alchemist meant. So being an aura alchemist, that name was given to me by God in my first. I didn't know that it was an initiation. I didn't know what was happening. I was playing around with all sorts of tools. I bought a crystal. I put it on. I was playing with binaural beats, and God said, this is your name, and I just received it, and it just felt true. I can't even. It just was. It wasn't even like a magical thing. Wasn't thinking about it. These names weren't trending. There wasn't this internet fad wasn't out yet. That's just what I received that I was. I think it was 2012. This is what you are. I said, okay, this is what I am. I am an aura alchemist. And it just felt true. It just felt like an isness. I didn't know what that meant yet. I just did my work, right? So while I could see auras and I could see people's emotional bodies and I could clear stuff out, I could see people's blood sometimes, their brains, and we'd work through stuff and I'd see the emotions. What I found out that I was seeing was people's beliefs. So when I would see people's ailments, I saw the beliefs. That's all I could see in people's bodies. So to me, because that was my gift and that therefore that was the lens that I saw, it was just so simple. If you can clear this belief, this thing in your body will change. And so I saw that there was, to me at the time, no differentiation between body work and work on your mind and your reality. The two things were absolutely intertwined, right? And so when I started off doing body work, it was just so dissatisfying for me at that time, because I was just like, but I can clear your energy, but if we don't help you change your mind, if we don't help you change your beliefs, it's just going to come back. The pattern's going to recreate itself eventually. And for many people, it did. And of course, now I know some of the many reasons that is true. I'm sharing this I'll pick up the keys as they come, right? So started my journey from becoming, and we would finish and I would do these notes. I'd have, what you call soap notes. I'd send people their notes after I work on their energy, and they'd constantly just be like, okay, so what's next? How can I work with you? And I'd be like, I don't, people like, what's next? How can you be my mentor? I'd be like, I don't know. I'm just learning energy. I don't know. Like, I know we need to change the beliefs. I don't know, how. I don't know, how to help you do that, right? So hence my quest. Now I have my own belief modality. Now I help people change beliefs. We create, when I work with my clients, we work with activating, changing beliefs, shifting consciousness, all that, right? This is, right, 10 years later. Because that was 12 years ago. So I'm sharing that because energy clearing was still vital, and energy clearing needs to be paired with the work. So that's why I want to talk about energy hygiene. There's energy hygiene, which includes energy clearing, and there's energy maintenance. It doesn't mean that you don't want to keep sweeping the house, right? But if you imagine that your energy is a house, sometimes you're going to get away with sweeping the floor, right? But then maybe a week later, sweeping the floor is not enough. Now the floor is sticky, it's dirty, your feet are getting dirty, now you need to mop, right? And then maybe after a few months of mopping, maybe you can do a quick mop, maybe you can get away with a sponge mop, but after a while, that's not enough. So maybe once or twice a year, you need to get one of those scrub brushes, and you actually need to do a scrub brush on the floor, and then you need to mop, and then you need to go over the mop with towels to make sure you get all the residual dirt off, and then the floor will be renewed, like brand new. Different seasons, different times, different requirements, different layers. Different types of dirt will require different types of solvent and different tools to be cleared and cleaned. Your energy is like a house, right? And you think about in your house, if you're learning to be a clean person, let's compare when you have an awakening. Let's compare that to you wake up in your house, and your house is your reality. You realize that, but you realize, let's play a game. You wake up in this house, and you recognize that the world outside looks disgusting, but so does your house. But every time you clean up something in your house, the world changes too. Every time you clean your house, you notice this weird, crazy, magical correlation. And you don't know how, but you know that it's true. That every time you clean something in your house, the world changes too. And all of a sudden the world out there becomes a little bit better of a place. So you realize that the key to living in a better world, in a world that you want to live in, even though you want to escape this house right fucking now, because you woke up and you're in a disgusting fucking house, is actually the key is to stay inside the house and clean the house. And it's uncomfortable at first because you want to get the fuck out of this house. You just want to take a break. Oh my God, this house is terrible. Can't somebody else do it? Okay, so let's stick with this analogy a little bit. Is this analogy helping? I like this one. You could clean that house, but you're the one that made it disgusting. How likely is it that you're going to clean that house and all of a sudden you're going to be a totally different person with 300 different habits, and that house is never going to get dirty again? How long has it taken you to learn to keep your house clean and to keep your house ready and good and clean? What type of dedication, devotion does it take? First of all, it's not because all of a sudden your house no longer needs work anymore. Your house is never going to be something that never needs to be work, right? That's crazy. You wouldn't expect that of a house. You wouldn't be like, house, I'm done. I've elevated. Now that I've mastered dusting, I'll never need to dust again. Dust will never enter my house. Time will never matter. I'm done. I've evolved now. I've graduated. Do you know how you know that you've graduated from the human experience? You're dead. Are you dead? No. So I guess there's still more work to do. And there's something else to learn. There's something else to experience. Some of you guys, as soon as I said learn, something in your brain just said there's something else for me to fix. There's something else for me to escape. There's still something I have to get right so this can go away. No. That very orientation and relationship that you have with learning is what's causing you misery. Just because as long as you're alive, there's still something to learn doesn't mean you have to feel undone, incomplete, wrong, miserable, dissatisfied, uncomfortable, agitated. None of those things have to be true. But you can learn to play in a dirty house. When I was younger, I picked up, a lot of things from both of my parents. I never had a chance. Both my parents were anxious in different ways. My dad was anxious that the world was going to end, and we had multiple safes with guns and ammos and a backup generator and backup water and storage for end of days. And he had a map with the different volcanoes across the Midwest and when they would blow up. And he would talk to me about microns of biological weapons and crop planes and countries that were going to invade us, and guns and school shootings and mass shootings and CIA and FBI. Those are the conversations I've been having since I was, 7 or 8 years old. And my mom was always worried that the world was going to end in the form of like the neighbor that was going to kill us, and like, oh shit, I forgot that I ordered things. Y'all are coming with me. Hola.
Hola, ¿Katy?
Sí.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, gracias.
Bien.
Lo siento, I forgot you were coming. Gracias. Okay, muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Hasta luego. No, it's just paper towels. That's why I couldn't wait. That's why I forgot I ordered them. Boring things. My house is a mess because I just got home, FYI. So I've been just driving, unpacking my suitcases. How I was sitting so I can keep looking pretty. Was this how I was sitting? The lighting was really good. Okay. We're good. So, you could constantly live in anxiety. Oh, well, let me finish talking about. So when I was younger, blah, 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 that's how I was raised. So that turned me into a very neurotic person. On top of that, I was in a car accident. I was in a bad car accident when I was, it's called a captain dress, Ray. It's called a captain dress, but yeah, otherwise known as a really pretty moo, which I like to wear. um, yeah, so between all those things, by the time I was, well, so I had a lot of anxiety because I had the brain injury. And so I had a brain injury, and that became the reason that I was different and the reason that I was confused and emotionally sensitive, which, of course, by that time, I now recognize that I was picking up, I hear feelings, I read auras, I was picking up energy in the home. I was very sensitive to it. There was a lot of stress in the home. I was picking it up, and I was confused. They were right. I was confused. I was forgetful. I was disoriented, and my parents, our parents, anybody our age didn't have the equipment, the tools, the knowledge, the awareness of any of the things that we're aware of now. Never mind a blueprint to me, So they did their best, but they were also confused, and I was confused, and we were confused. But all that led to me being an incredibly anxious and neurotic person. So I grew up constantly having night terrors, insomnia, OCD, panic attacks, just all of it all the time. It was just totally, it was so normal. I didn't even mention it to people. That was just me. That was just my life. That was how I experienced life. And so fast forward to my teenage years, and the first time I did mushrooms, I did a lot of mushrooms. I did a lot of drugs back in the day. And the first time I did mushrooms, I accidentally took I was 112 pounds. I was 16 years old, and I took 12 grams of mushrooms. It's a real long story, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about anything. And a bunch of people handed me money to go get mushrooms. And then they handed me a Ziploc of mushrooms. And I was hanging out with somebody eating mushrooms like potato chips. And I ate a lot of mushrooms. Okay. Anyways, really long story short, after that, I became a super clean person. At the time, those mushrooms actually helped me reorganize my mind because my family was so intent on letting me know that I was forgetful out of concern and worry. They were constantly telling me that I was forgetful and the world wasn't going to accept me and I wasn't right and I should get a brain scan and I probably wasn't going to make it places and I wasn't going to be able to keep a job and everything was going to fall apart. So I moved out at 16 / got kicked out at 16 and there were mutual feelings involved. And I learned very quickly that I was that none of that was true. I was successful in the things that I did quickly. And that trip actually helped me organize my brain. But what I picked up after that, between all of those things, was incredible. I'm not even going to get into the actual mushroom experience itself and how it led me to that. But I became this very neurotic OCD person. But it was because the mushrooms had gifted me with this method of control to get my brain under control and operate in the world, even though I wasn't like other people. And I did have to learn how to be myself in a world that wasn't like me. And like many of us that later discover we have superpowers, because that's not an accident. And I now know that every piece of that had complete purpose, and every single piece of that lends to my superpower now, and makes me really good at what I do. Is his background story fun? I don't think I've ever told my story quite this way. I think I'm doing pretty okay. Anyways, so fast forward, and I could not sleep unless everything was in order in my house. I could not study unless everything was exactly right in the house. And I mean, I would have a total panic attack. If things were not exactly right in my home, I would flip the fuck out. And of course, by divine design, I can think back, and I was living with the ultimate slob. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm talking like the worst slob, like the slobbiest of slobs, just the absolute disrespect for everything. So I was basically just a crying, anxious mess all the time, just constantly cleaning so that I could have any hope of focusing on anything. Because the moment anything was scattered, my confusion and my forgetfulness and the different things about my brain would just pick up, which was no way to live, right? It was stuck under a rock in a hard place. And I'm sharing that because it goes very well with this analogy. Do you want to be the neurotic person who is basically letting your perfectionism be a prison and your idea of things being right and done all of the time? Do you want that to be your prison in your own body, in your own energy body? Or do you want to learn to love the mess? Do you want to learn how to thrive in the mess? It's a funny story. One of the reasons that I'm a messier person now, I'm fairly clean. I just go through phases. Is that in my healing, I let go of the need. I had to let go of the habits that came from that element of control. You see, a lot of times alignment is going to come up to you in a temporary form of breaking state with the way that you've always done things. So sometimes the aligned thing for you right now, in order to break free from your core programming that's been keeping you in prison and keeping you in the state of psychotic social approval or family approval in your brain and ruling your personality and stealing your life force, sometimes the very aligned thing to do is to break state with something that is so extreme, it will break the habituated habits of who you have always been. And so for me, that meant letting go of the person that was always doing squats in line. And, I was always making sure not to waste any little minute of time and, working 3 jobs and body's tight, diet's right. Body's tight, diet's right, do, energy all the time. I don't even need sleep, blah, blah, blah. That was exhausting. Miserable. I never want to go back to being her. And, she technically looked better than me. I wouldn't take her back. I love her. But I wouldn't trade her for me, not even a little bit, not an ounce, not an iota. There ain't nothing about her that I miss. There's a lot about her that I appreciate. There's nothing about her that I miss. Okay, so energy hygiene. The more advanced you are, and I just heard some of you here advanced, and it triggered the part of you that thinks of ascension as achievement badges or like a video game level where you're comparing yourself to other people and you think that your growth is some sort of linear, get better and graduate out of XYZ. That's not what we mean by advance. We mean the more that you develop your self-awareness, the more that you move on to your personal soul evolution, which is not linear and has nothing to do with my evolution and doesn't have anything to do with like any sort of status symbols of achievement and success. The more you advance, the more energy hygiene you likely need. So here are some signs that you might need some energy hygiene. If you are ending a lot of soul contracts, you need more energy hygiene and more energy support. If you are merging lifetimes right now and in lessons that you've been, because by the way, all of your lifetimes, there's not really any such thing as past life, because your soul is living many lives parallel because time only exists in this realm. So time is real and it's not. So it's not that time doesn't exist, but it's that time only exists here and it exists, but you are non-linear. So even though your soul is outside of time, your embodiment exists in this realm and is beholden and submitted to and ruled by time. We want to say this a lot because the time doesn't exist shit just is really it's please. It's real oversimplified, okay? Stop it. Okay? Stop that. Context, nuance, paradoxes, hold the tensions of opposites. Okay, learn how to hold the tension of the paradox. Okay, because if you just let everything not exist, then like what's the point of you being here? Can you feel that? Can you feel the transmission that we're communicating with that? The more you're like, well, this word doesn't mean this word and everything's the same. And things stop being real because you stop making things real. You remove the limitations that create form. Then yeah, you're going to be in a pile of confusion where nothing means anything to you. And you're going to become more and more apathetic and more confused, and you're going to feel less and less alive because of the meaning and the confusion that you keep creating, because your inner rebellion, your inner teenager that has been disguising itself and walking around the collective as some wise, sovereign, rebel goddess, and has been romanticized and touted as liberation, is over here stripping form. Because when you remove and dilute meaning, you strip form. And when you restrict form, you restrict things that matter. Matter meaning things in the physical. Do you understand what I'm saying? Every word we're saying, we mean in actual metaphysical form. We are speaking to actual energetics. We are never speaking in metaphor. Does that make sense? Even if it doesn't make sense in your brain, are you feeling a resonance to what we're saying? The rebel is being overused, and it's allowing the ego to run escape games everywhere and evade accountability and evade confrontation and evades surrender. And I don't have time to get into all of that. So just take it if you can take it, for whoever can take it. Sit with it, contemplate it, feel the transmission there. If you are doing a lot of intentional work, if you are at work confronting your demons, confronting your shadows, you need to be saging your house. You need to be ceremonially washing your hair as often as possible. You need to be drinking green juices. You need to be drinking a lot of minerals, okay? Not just a lot of water. I just suggested to a client here, which was good. I hadn't suggested this in a while, but copper as a supplement. I am not a doctor. I don't know what else you're taking. Be careful with contraindications. Be careful taking it near zinc. Be careful taking it too much without balancing other things. But adding copper is a good idea because it helps to conduct electricity. So if you're doing a lot of light and energy body work and energy clearance, I suggest that you add things into the physical as well. If you are constantly saging your home and you find that your home is constantly uncomfortable, recognize that that home is just a reflection of you. We were talking about the home, the analogy before, but this is what's real in your home. Your home shouldn't need to be saged constantly. If your home needs to be saged constantly, we're talking about differently than if you're doing a lot of work and releasing a lot of static because you're doing spiritual work. That's one thing. We're talking about the regular patterns in your home. If your home feels stagnant and miserable, if you get in your home and you feel tired often, if you feel really slow, a lot of you guys are confusing your stagnation with relaxation and introversion. You are not introverted. You have created a pool of energy fog and stagnation that is like a comfort blanket, but it is actually a demon that has become your best friend. And it is your worst enemy. And you have some work ahead of you because you're real bonded to it, and it's your best fucking friend. And it feels real fucking good. And just like any other escapist drug, your home feels like a nice suffocating blanket, suffocating purpose and comforting you with some video games and some weed. No, that's not introversion. No, that's not the way things are. No, that's not your personality. No, that's not even relaxation. It's stagnation, it's brain fog, and it's a spell. If you wanted me to talk as if these things don't exist, you shouldn't be on my page. I'm a healer, I'm a metaphysician, I'm an aura alchemist, I'm an oracle, I'm a channel, I'm an energy healer, I'm a soul mastery teacher, I'm a high priestess. The more elevated you are, the more support you need, the more responsibility you take for other people. Pay attention. I said responsibility. We can always hear what you mishear. Not martyrdom, not self-sacrifice, not unhealthy, toxic boundaries, though yes, you might need energy clearing from that, but energy clearing isn't going to help you until you actually break those habits yourself. Energy clearing isn't going to do anything for you. You're just going to keep recreating that. And if that's a problem for you, you're probably addicted to it. That doesn't mean energy healing won't help, but it needs to be paired with the work. In fact, you need energy clearing for that work to be easier. Let me be clear. Because energy healing, the energy always does need to be done. It's just that it has to be paired with the work. Let me be clear. It's not that that's useless. Okay. But what we're talking about when it comes to responsibility, we're talking about leadership. If you are regularly holding space for other people, if you are regularly somebody's emotional absorption person, if you are ministering to people in your home, if you are the manager of your household, energy hygiene needs to be a regular thing for you. If you are online more than 30 minutes a day, energy hygiene and kicking out telepathic static and regularly cutting cords needs to be a regular thing for you. Not mirrors, not self-protection walls and bubbles. That actually attracts opposition and it shrinks your energy. That stuff puts a cap on your energy, which is the antithesis of where your power comes from. Your power comes from influence and amplification. You are not a light worker. You are an amplitude worker. The truth of the light worker, when you want to get technical, it is not light, it is amplitude. The thing that wins influence is not what's brightest. It's not love if your love is too quiet. If your love is hiding in a steel box under a pile of doubt, it's not going to have any influence. Your quiet love is going to lose to somebody else's loud anger in a room. You shrinking yourself is going to decrease your power. I have a lot of broken nails because of travel. Weed does affect your brain. It does actually steal from your neuron receptors. It actually chemically, and I have found the studies on this, there's no getting around this. While it is easier to recover than heroin and other things like cocaine, it actually does the same things to your neuroreceptors and steals from your serotonin, and it takes a minimum of 4 weeks and a minimum of 30 to 45 days for your brain to recover, which means it has a similar rebound and withdrawal effect as Molly or cocaine. So no, it's not true that it's not addictive. And it's an altering substance. So please get out. Please miss me with your delusions of self-mastery when you cannot be yourself in the world and you do not know how to alter your own consciousness by yourself. If you do not know how to alter your own consciousness and enter into other states of mind on your own, I don't think that you should lead other people into other states of consciousness. That was for somebody with a personal opinion thrown in. And I don't care if it's your pain management, and I don't care what your excuses are. I have compassion for your pain and that you need to manage it. And I said what I said. And, you don't have to agree or, like whatever. Go fight with your mama. I'll never tell somebody to fight with their mama. That's why I tell you to go argue with the wall at your mama house, because I ain't going to tell you to argue with your mama. I think drugs are fine. I'm talking about drugs. I'm talking about dependency on drugs. And I mean, they're fine if they're in alignment for you. Take across all these society rules and like Every single country in the world is totally okay with some insane drug with insane side effects, while banning something else that like is like not who that side effects are negligent. There's no logic or rationale as to what society finds acceptable and doesn't. And my bad. My phone automatically goes in airplane mode right now because my phone tells me to go to bed. But again, all of these things should be used responsibly, right? They're just a tool. If you don't know how to use the tool, be very careful with it. Just today, I deleted a comment off of my energy clearing post. So by the way, I was doing this because I'm opening a monthly energy clearing membership. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a year. I just had to wait until I had the capacity and until I had the support team to get it up and running. So I have both of those things now. We're pulling the trigger. Plus it's now. I literally had dreams about it. Spirit said it's time. We executed. That's that. So, and it's been time because the hysteria is not going to stop. Okay. So so in addition to the fact that we're picking up more telepathic static from each other than ever, there are actual thought programs being pushed out into the world. It doesn't have to have power over you, but you still need to be aware of it so that you can reject it. Because the other thing that's happening right now is people are not only differentiating, and I work with women a lot. I love you ladies. But a lot of women right now can't tell the difference between their inspiration and telepathically receiving other people's ideas. If you don't know how to spend time with yourself, if you don't know what your intuition sounds like, if you don't know how God talks to you, you don't trust yourself, you're constantly outsourcing your information. You need 14 other people to confirm your own intuition before you move. Right? If you're just consuming all the time, all day, every day, when do you expect to be able to discern the difference between when you are actually reacting to other people and calling it inspiration, mimicking other people and calling it inspiration, or energetically hijacking other people's ideas and calling it inspiration? This isn't judgment. We are humans. We are susceptible to these things. We pick these things up. And if you lack confidence, if you're not clear who you are as, and you don't know quite what your gifts are and what your purpose is, and you're literally floating the internet with the intent to learn from a bunch of random people that kind of sound good and make you feel good, and you're saying yes on this thread, and you're saying yes to this healing and this clearing everywhere. It's a buffet. It doesn't matter if everything is good by itself. There are some supplements you shouldn't take together. Right? And you would never catch me like putting ice cream on the same plate as my goat curry and eating them in one bite and expecting to feel okay. A lot of y'all are saying yes on shit. Spirit tells on you. I don't read the newsfeed. Stuff only pops up if one of my clients has commented on somebody's shit. And it always happens too when they're doing something that we just talked about. Or something they should know better about. Always. Never fails. When you are insecure, you are more susceptible to influence. Even I have to watch out for this. I'm a human. There are particular things that I go through seasons of insecurity about, especially because guess what transformation requires? Transformation means that you're unhooking from things, right? Okay. So if securing means to secure yourself to something, and transformation means that you have to become unformed before you can transform, well, what's going to happen in the period of unformation? You're going to be insecure. Because you're unsecuring from what you used to attach yourself to and as. And there is an in-between period as you secure yourself to who you are becoming or who you are getting to know yourself as today, presently, in the now. By the way, I've committed to do 21 days of lives. I have no plans for them. I'm just going to show up with intention to find the people I'm supposed to work with next. And I'm going to make whatever offer I feel like making and make the invitations I feel like making. And if you feel like I'm the mentor or guide for you, you're welcome to drop into my DMs and we can have a conversation and we can see what you need, if I'm the person that can give it to you, and if we can create something that works for you, or if I already have an ongoing program that's a perfect fit for you. I would love to have a conversation with you. The way that I have conversations is I just read what you need. I just listen to you and I tell you how I can help, and then I make you an offer, and then you take it or you don't. So, doing what I do for 12 years, I have a range of tools. I have a range of modalities. I have a range of things that can help you. Love your face. And I love you. Everything I do is for the lives that I desire to change. And it's just the funnest, bestest thing I've ever done. And I'm going to keep doing it until I die. So, the more advanced you are, the more support you need, because the more work that you're doing, the more that's required of you, the more responsibility that you have, and the cleaner you need to be. Mastery doesn't mean I no longer need energy clearing. Mastery means I've become so sensitive that I have to keep my instruments fine-tuned. Think of a pro athlete. A pro athlete has like 4 coaches, right? When you're first losing weight, how easy is it to lose weight, right? When you first start on a weight plan, just walking loses weight, right? You're doing 20 squats and you're feeling it. You're like, oh shit, your booty starts to change in 4 weeks and all you're doing is 2-minute exercises. But then your body adapts, right? Now when you want to really get toned and you want to get fit, that 2-minute exercise doesn't work for you. And you have to confuse your muscles. You have to get more exacting with your macronutrients. You have to get exacting and precise about what you're doing and the recipes that you're using. You have to adapt and change and recognize how to read your body and know what it needs with each phase and shift. And with each phase and shift, it actually takes more discipline, not less. More precision, not less. More commitment, not less. More devotion, not less. It's no different with energy mastery. There is not an ancient system in the world, and we are, because I have been writing my book about universal law, we've been verifying my years of teachings with things, bringing things together, and bringing things to the fourfold in a universal language for you. Anywho, there is not an ancient system that does not talk about the importance of the fact that you cannot see outside of yourself, and that part of mastery is always receiving that counsel and that support from outside of you. So it doesn't become less important. It doesn't matter less. Okay? And I know this world loves to tell you, like, you don't need to spend more money. And I don't believe that you do or you don't, but that's the point, is you might. I don't know. Do you need to spend more money? Is not spending money and spinning your wheels working for you? Is doing everything by yourself working for you? How do you know it's working for you? What's actually changed? How fast are things changing? How much pleasure are you experiencing along the way? Are things getting easier? Are things getting funner? Or are you falling for the trap that everything's hard and lonely at the top? Because that's a lie, by the way. It's not true that things are lonely at the top. Before there was money, I have a funny post about this a long time ago, and I talk about this in a lot of different ways. Back in the day, because I'm not actually a coach or a course creator, it's just that I'm using the digital sphere to deliver, right? This is just the modern delivery system for guiding people in soul work and purpose. That's what I use this for, and self-mastery, and soul mastery, and soul evolution, and passing your initiations, and developing and connecting to God, on your terms. Understanding your gifts, unlocking and developing them. My connection says slow, so I'm just pausing for a minute. So back in the day, if I was your teacher, you would leave your family for a minimum of a year. In most times, in most cultures, I can't find, if you were training to become what I am, I can't find a time where you would take less than 7 years. I can't find a system that it took less than 7 years. It doesn't need to take that long now because we are living in a different time. But just to give you a frame of reference, 7 years. 7 years of living under as an apprentice and being of service to. A lot of you guys just got caught in a lot of power struggles. And the reason that spiritual growth feels like this game of hardship and all of your ascensions feel like they go through these medical upgrades and tests and upheaval and sickness and throwing up and confusion and you're thrown around by every full moon and stuff. None of that has to have anything to do with your soul mastery. Is because you are very entangled in all of your feelings and beliefs about power and power dynamics and power struggles, and it's very entangled with your relationship with your own enlightenment, with your guides, with your team, with developing your own power, with God, with your place in the world, and with your place in the universe, with your place with men, and with your place with creation, and with your place with women, for some of you. So anyways, just calling that out because that just popped up for somebody as soon as I told that story. But that's true. That's what used to be required. That level of submission, that level of service, that level of commitment. Let me tell you different other real stories. It's going to kind of sound like a joke, but it's kind of not, right? Or you would bring me a goat that could feed me for a year. You would go find and hunt the goat and you would bring it to me, stripped, just to get a message from me. Or you would host me at your home and you would take care of me. And if you wanted to learn from me, we would be at some community home where everybody would take care of us and we would be of service to the community and you would be doing great works for me. And I would have done that to my gurus. And my initiations would have involved a lot of mundane labor and work and service to the community. Never mind the actual rituals and learning of magic and all that kind of stuff. So whether you were learning magic or whether you just needed help. So there's always been a payment, is my point. There's always been a payment or a sacrifice. And the new payment is money. Because you can't sacrifice a goat and mail it to me. And that would also cost money. Anyways, you're going to get me a whole goat. Now, I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but at the same time, I want to put in the context that sacrifice has always been in play. This isn't really about arguing with people about money. Just talking about the way things have shifted and changed, right? We're talking about energy exchange. I guess my computer died, so I can't always see comments on here. All right, well, that's my ramble for today. This is my first day calling myself out at 21 Days Live. This is just my way of getting up and in front of y'all. So if you have some topics or you have some questions, feel free to send them or message them. If you want to work with me or find out how we can work together, if you want to come to the retreat and you want to do ritual with me and you want to break chains off of your bloodline and clear the energy from your initiations and activate some DNA and just have a time. We're going to be creating a space outside of time for you to come face to face with your God frequency without interruption. And we are going to strip off all of your self-concept that doesn't match the power that you already have and the person that you already are and the person that you've worked to become. So if you'd like to join me in Tulum for the Information Retreat, that's happening in November. You can reach out about that. There are still some spots for the Unboxable Feminine. If you would like space, I know I haven't talked about it in a while. A lot happened with me, and I just did a pause, and I don't really have any attachment. If we get more women in there, I feel like there might be one or two that would be a good fit. We're going to work together for a year. That's going to be a live, very intimate space. I think there's 6 other women. That's all we have. I think I'm going to keep it at 8 or 9, even if people sign up. So, if you would like my support in deepening into your feminine embodiment and walking the pathway of devotion to your feminine expression and being as a part of your purpose and blueprint, you can reach out to me for that. If you just want to join the healing membership, our first healing, we're going to be doing clearings every month. There's 4 different clearings you can sign up for. You can bundle them together and get a discount. Very simple. You don't have to be there live every month at all. I perform the healing. I give you guys aftercare instructions. It clears the energy. It's very helpful at this time. I'll probably do some other posts listing all of the benefits, but if you know you'd like to experience the clearing, you can do that as well. You can DM me or you can comment on that recent post. And with that, I'm going to get in bed. I love you. Comment, share, like. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you. Now go do the thing that scares you. Bye-bye.